Welcome to Social Work Practice with Addictions 2, Discussion 1. My name is William Halstead and I am a student of Yeshiva University's Wurzweiler School of Social Work. Based of this module's readings, we were asked to answer each of the following questions. 1. What surprised you the most about the 12-step program? 2. What myths and misconceptions were dispelled by these readings? Report at least one thing you feel you still do not understand about the 12-step philosophy. 3. Looking just at the first step of the 12 steps, identify and state which of the DSM-5's 11 diagnostic criteria in alcohol use disorder you think share a conceptual basis with this step. Explain. 4. About that first step. Someone once said it is half of the 12 steps. What were they getting at? And 5. Finally, just for the fun of it, what 3 steps are your favorite and how? The emphasis Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, places on spirituality and the spiritual aspect of recovery comes as a great surprise to many people. AA is a recovery program with a strong spiritual foundation that encourages people to forge a spiritual bond as a method of reaching and sustaining sobriety. For people who are unfamiliar with AA or who might have preconceived notions about the program, this may come as a surprise. The reliance on spirituality in Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, may come as a surprise to some individuals due to a variety of reasons. Secular expectations. In modern society, there is a general trend towards secularism and the separation of religious and secular domains. Many people may assume that addiction treatment and recovery programs would predominantly rely on scientific, psychological, or medical approaches, rather than incorporating spiritual or faith-based elements. Preconceived notions of AA. Some individuals may have preconceived notions or misconceptions about AA based on limited exposure or stereotypes. If they are not familiar with the program's principles, they may not be aware of its spiritual foundation. This lack of knowledge can lead to surprise when they encounter the spiritual aspects of AA. Personal beliefs or non-religious background. People with non-religious or atheist beliefs may assume that a recovery program would align with their own worldview, focusing on secular or evidence-based approaches. The emphasis on spirituality in AA may challenge their expectations or assumptions about the nature of recovery. Stigma surrounding religion. Religion can be a sensitive topic for many individuals due to personal experiences, cultural differences, or negative associations with organized religion. This stigma or discomfort surrounding religion may lead to surprise or resistance when encountering spiritual elements in a recovery program like AA. Limited exposure to different recovery programs. Not all recovery programs or support groups have the same spiritual focus as AA. Some individuals may be more familiar with secular or non-spiritual alternatives, and the introduction of spirituality in AA may be unexpected for them. It's important to note that while AA emphasizes spirituality, it is not affiliated with any specific religion and welcomes individuals of all faiths or no faith. The spiritual aspect in AA is meant to provide a framework for personal growth, self-reflection, and developing a sense of connection or higher purpose. It's an integral part of the AA philosophy but may not be a necessary component for everyone seeking recovery. Overall, the surprise surrounding AA's reliance on spirituality stems from a combination of societal trends, personal beliefs, and limited exposure to the program's principles. However, it's crucial to approach AA with an open mind and respect for its spiritual foundation, recognizing that different recovery approaches suit different individuals based on their needs and beliefs. One false belief I originally had about AA is that the 12-step program is primarily a Christian spiritual program. Although AA is not associated with any one religion and accepts people of all faiths or no faith, its spiritual approach to recovery can occasionally come as a surprise to people who are expecting a purely secular or clinical approach. The spiritual component of AA is accepting a higher power, asking for direction from that power, and realizing the necessity of one's own development and transformation. It can come as a surprise to folks who at first may be dubious or have doubts about the spiritual tenets of AA to learn that many people credit their success in recovery to accepting these concepts and integrating spirituality into their life. It might refute assumptions about how to treat addiction and the function of spirituality in the healing process. While spirituality plays a big role in AA, it's vital to remember that there are other aspects of the program as well. As part of the rehabilitation process, AA also emphasizes going through the 12 steps, fellowship, and mutual support. The 12-step program that is frequently associated with Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, begins with the statement, "We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable." We must take into account both the nature of the step and the diagnostic criteria in order to determine whether of the DSM-5's diagnostic criteria for alcohol consumption disorder, AUD, share a conceptual foundation with this step. The first stage involves admitting one's inability to control alcohol and the life's consequent unmanageability. Two DSM-5 criteria that are conceptually related to this phase are as follows. Taking alcohol in greater quantities or over longer periods of time than anticipated is the first criteria. Conceptual foundation. This criterion implies a lack of control over alcohol usage, much as the first step's admission of one's helplessness over alcohol. Both emphasize the difficulty of controlling and limiting alcohol use in accordance with initial goals. Criteria 5. Continued alcohol use despite ongoing, recurrent social or interpersonal issues brought on by or made worse by alcohol's effects. Conceptual foundation. This criterion is consistent with admitting that the situation is unmanageable in the first phase. It means that even though drinking has caused problems in relationships or social interactions, the person still drinks, showing a failure to properly manage their life in the face of alcohol-related issues. It's vital to remember that there is no implied direct link between the first step and these DSM-5 criteria, despite the conceptual base being shared. The diagnostic standards for AUD and the 12-step philosophy take distinct approaches to issues related to alcohol. While the DSM-5 criteria place a greater emphasis on the clinical signs and diagnostic evaluation of AUD, the first stage stresses giving in to helplessness. The adage half of the 12 steps emphasizes the importance and fundamental character of the first step in Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and it also underscores its significance. It emphasizes the significance of realizing one's powerlessness over alcohol and the unmanageability it brings to one's life, even though it may be read metaphorically rather than literally. The initial step, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable, is seen as the beginning of the road to recovery. It requires people to openly acknowledge the impact of their addiction and admit they can't stop drinking or control the problems it causes. Individuals are advised to let go of the false sense of control and self-will that would have continued their addictive behaviors by realizing their helplessness and unmanageability. Since it necessitates humility, acceptance, and surrender, this stage acts as a catalyst for change. The statement that the first step is half of the 12 steps implies that this foundation is built upon by the succeeding phases. The subsequent steps offer a structure and direction for people to increase their comprehension, form a spiritual connection, make reparations, and partake in personal development and service. In essence, the first phase establishes the tone for the healing process transforming nature. It prepares people for the following steps, which together seek to aid people in addressing underlying problems, altering negative patterns, and promoting spiritual and emotional growth. In the statement, it is emphasized how important it is to accept your powerlessness and unmanageability as the starting point of the transformative journey toward recovery stated in AA's 12 steps. I would have to say that if I had to pick a favorite step, it would be the 9th. When possible, this stage entails making direct reparations to such people, unless doing so would put them or others at risk. To me, this clause is crucial. One thing about natural consequences is that there is an equal and opposite reaction to every action. What if the individual with alcohol use disorder, AUD, genuinely thought that there was one person he needed to make apologies to because of their previous dishonesty? One thing to think about is whether being unexpectedly honest would be harmful or upsetting to the person who was offended. What if there was past dishonesty or commission of a sin? What if a trauma victim experienced re-traumatization due to the unexpected necessity for stark honesty? I knew he was abusing you, but I was afraid to rock the boat and I failed to protect you. Now, despite my earlier complaint, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the very first step. I am not thrilled about the concept of powerlessness, but I respect the spiritual nature of the first step. For many people, the world is a large, scary place when they feel alone. I am not interested in what form of spirituality a person has, but I agree that a belief in something larger is essential to one's mental and emotional health. Finally, the 10th step is key. It isn't enough to say I was an alcoholic, but I'm all right now and I don't have to worry about anything. You need to be able to reflect on what your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions are. You need to hold yourself accountable, and reflection is key here. It is important to dispel myths and misconceptions about AA, such as it being exclusively associated with a particular religion or the belief that it is the only path to recovery. AA is a program that welcomes individuals of all faiths or no faith and recognizes that different recovery approaches may suit different individuals. Steps like the first step, which acknowledges powerlessness and unmanageability, the 12th step, which emphasizes service and carrying the message to others, and the third step, which involves surrendering to a higher power, often resonate with individuals in recovery. Ultimately, the 12-step program of AA provides a framework for self-reflection, acceptance, personal growth, and spiritual development. Each step plays a crucial role in the recovery journey, and individuals may find different steps more personally significant or impactful based on their experiences and needs. In summary, AA's spiritual approach, along with its comprehensive program and supportive fellowship, has helped countless individuals overcome alcohol addiction and find a path to sustained sobriety and personal transformation. The steps encourage introspection, self-accountability, and a connection to something greater, fostering a holistic approach to recovery. My name is William Halstead, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you who took the time to watch my PowerPoint video presentation on Alcoholics Anonymous. By understanding the spiritual foundation, the 12 steps, and the benefits of AA participation, we can contribute to a more informed and compassionate society. Thank you once again for your support and for being in the Social Work with Addictions 2 course with me.